Hi, it's Steve from PartSelect. Today we're going to show you how to change the evaporator fan motor on your refrigerator, and it's a really easy job. All we're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver and maybe a pair of needle nose pliers. Let me show you how we do it. Now before we begin this repair, the first thing we'll need to do is to disconnect power to the appliance. So pull it out far enough to pull the plug. And then we're going to begin by opening the freezer door, and we'll remove the ice bin. Just lift up, slide it out, and set that aside. Now next we're going to need to remove the ice maker itself, and it's held in place with 3 Phillips screws, 2 across the top and 1 on the bottom. And the 2 on the top, you don't need to completely remove them, we'll just loosen them enough. There are keyhole slots in the mounting brackets that will allow us to just lift up on the ice maker once we've loosened the screws. Once we've released it from the mounting brackets, we can then pull it far enough forward to disengage the fill tube at the back, and that will allow us to unplug the harness from the side wall. And then we can set that aside. Now next we're going to have to remove the shelf and the auger motor assembly, the shield over the front of the evaporator fan motor. And as well, we should probably remove the shield in front of the light bulb and the light bulb so that we don't damage that in the process. So we'll start by removing a single screw at the very back of that shelf, and that holds the light shield in place. Now our next step will be to remove a single screw at the very back just above that bottom shelf. That holds the light shield in place, and we suggest that you remove that as well as the light bulb so that we don't damage them. So remove the screw and then just slide that shield a bit to the left and it will drop down. There's a couple of slotted tabs on there that engage. Next we'll remove the 2 screws at the front of that shelf. And next, depending on your model, there may be 2 screws at the top of that evaporator cover and a tab on the bottom, or as in the case of this model, we have a single screw on the bottom and 2 tabs on the top. So we'll remove that next and set it aside. And that will expose the wire harness connector to the motor for the ice bucket. So we'll remove those 2 screws. Then unplug the harness, and then we'll remove these 2 screws that hold the auger motor assembly. And before we take that out, remember to remove the light bulb, set that aside. We can now lift up on that whole assembly and pull it right out and set it aside. Now next we'll need to remove 2 Phillips screws at the bottom of this plate and 2 up in the upper corners. Now we can just pull that evaporator cover just slightly forward and then grasp the whole assembly that holds the motor and just pull it forward. Whoops. And then some models may have a screw right in the center here as well that you'll need to remove. Our next step will be to remove the 2 screws that secure that wire harness connector for the ice maker. Now our next step will be to remove the 2 screws securing that harness connector for the ice maker. And you may also want to remove one of the brackets for that auger motor assembly. So next we can pull that top of the evaporator cover just a little bit forward, and then we'll take that whole assembly and pull it away from the fill tube for the ice maker until it clears that. And we'll try to maneuver it around the 2 side brackets here for the auger motor. We also suggest that you take the left-hand mounting bracket for that auger motor assembly and remove it. So just take the Phillips screw out, and then using our needle nose pliers, I'm just going to grasp that on the side and pull it forward to unclip it from the side wall. And set it aside. Now just pull the top of that evaporator cover a little bit forward, grasp the whole assembly, and pull it off of the fill tube to the ice maker. Just pivot it a little sideways. We can now access the two screws that hold that evaporator fan motor bracket and the two wires to the motor. So we'll disconnect the wires first. So just pull that out far enough forward that we can access the two screws for the evaporator fan motor bracket and the two wires to the motor. So remove the wires, and we'll disconnect the ground wire. Just pull it off of the motor first, and then remove the two screws. Now we can remove the motor and mounting brackets from that assembly, and we'll set it on a suitable work surface where we can change out the motor. Now we'll start by removing the rear bracket and make sure that the bushing comes with that bracket. We'll set that aside. So next we'll pop the evaporator fan blade off. It should pull straight off of that shaft. And set that aside. We can then lift the front bracket off and remove the bushing. Discard the old motor. We'll reassemble by putting the front bushing and bracket on. We'll insert the fan blade onto the shaft. Flip that over, install the rear bracket and bushing. We're now ready to put the assembly back into the refrigerator. We also have a couple of jumper leads that may be required based on the fact that the original motor and the new motor have different terminal locations, and you may need these to get the extra length. So let's put it back in the refrigerator. Now we'll begin by setting the assembly on top of the housing, and we'll install the two screws that hold it in place. And we'll next need to reinstall the ground wire. It's tucked in underneath now, so before we put that second screw in, we'll attach the spade terminal to the motor. Pivot the motor out far enough that you can reach that terminal and slide it on. And then we can install the second screw and the eyelet connector for the ground wire. And check the length of the wire harness, and if required you may need to use those jumper wires. If not, you can just simply reconnect the wires to the terminals. Make sure they fit on nice and snug. And now we can tilt the whole assembly back up into position. Make sure that the bottom of that whole assembly fits in front of the blocks that the screws fit in. Line up the fill tube to the ice maker, and the wire harness for the ice maker will fit into that little notched out portion on the bracket. And then we'll put one of the screws in just to hold it in position. Reinstall the remaining screws. Reinstall that mounting bracket for the auger motor. And secure it with the screw. And secure it with the screw. Next, we'll reinstall the wire harness connector. And the 2 screws. Now we're ready to put the shelf and auger motor assembly in. Now when reinstalling the auger motor and shelf assembly, we'll slide it in over top of those 2 brackets at the front. Then we're just going to position it so that we can hang it on the 2 mounting brackets at the back. We'll reconnect the wire harness, and then we can just lift up on it until the 2 tabs on that mounting bracket sit up above. And that will allow the 2 slots to line up with the screw holes. So we'll install those 2 screws first. Next, we'll reconnect the wire harness. Make sure that it's fully inserted, and then we'll put the retaining screws in. Next, we'll put the evaporator fan cover back in place. So we'll locate the tab at the top, install the single screw on this model. Now next, we'll install the ice maker, and when installing the ice maker, we need to make sure that we locate the fill tube into the opening at the fill cup, and that we hang the 2 brackets over the 2 screws on the side and make sure that we have the harness connected securely. So we'll start by connecting the harness. And once we have it plugged in properly, we'll line up that fill tube with the cup at the back, and then lift it up over the 2 mounting screws. And just check and make sure that fill tube stayed in position. We can then tighten the 2 screws on the side. We can then tighten the 2 mounting screws on the side. Then we'll install the sink. Next, we'll install the screw underneath. Next, we'll replace the light bulb and the shield. We'll slide that up from the back, and then slide it to the right until the screw hole lines up. Replace that single screw, and then the 2 screws at the front of the shelf. Now we can put the auger assembly back in position. Next, we'll reinstall the ice bin. And slide it all the way back in, make sure it lifts up, locks into position. Verify that the ice maker shutoff arm is in the on position. We're now ready to reconnect the power, and our repair is complete.
I told you it was an easy job. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your repair.